everybody. Welcome back to the Brick Road Podcast. We are here for your first live episode with your host, the Conservative Bird, and my co-host, Double D.
Me,
yeah. And then also, we have a special guest today. We have the biggest conservative influencer in the world. No, I'm just playing. We have a great marketing strategist, Jimmy Scully, with us today. How you guys doing today?
Hey, Jimmy, woo! Let's hear it for Jimmy. Hear it for Jimmy, everybody. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
So what's up, fellas? How was everybody's day going so far?
so far, so good, Bird. So far, so good. It's beautiful day in a beautiful state of Ohio.
Yes, sir. Jimmy, how you doing today, brother?
Same, man. Just a beautiful day in the great state of excellence.
Yes. Yeah.
I like that. I like that. The great state of excellence. I hope the bank is using that.
Yep. So we're doing our first live.
Actually.
Go ahead, Bird.
So we're doing our first live. Hey, let's see how it goes. What do you guys want to talk about today?
Well, you've already got the Cincinnati thing already up. We could save that for later. It's up to you. I mean, did you guys want to talk about the fact that Melania Trump's suing Hunter Biden?
Oh, yeah, this is wild to me.
So just to give you guys a little bit of background on it, Melania Trump obviously feels as though she was misaligned. What's that word I'm looking for where they misrepresent information and
defamed basically.
Yeah, defamed her, lied about her, saying that she was associated with the Jeffrey Epstein thing. So she basically put out a lawsuit there for good old Hunter B there of $1 billion. She sued him for $1 billion because not only can he not keep the crack pipe out of his mouth, he can't keep the mouth shut when there's no crack pipe in it.
That's wild.
Here we are.
Damn.
And, basically, his response to her was, F that bitch, basically, is what he said.
Here, you know what? I think we can find it, actually. Let's look that one up.
Yeah, let's see if we can find that.
He actually so the guy whose podcast he went on, what is it, his name? Andrew something? It's that Channel 5 news podcast.
Yeah.
He actually went on there and doubled down.
I actually heard it on the Clay and Buck show today, so I never actually saw the video, but I did hear the playback of it on Clay and Buck this afternoon.
Okay.
They bleeped everything out, of course, because obviously it was AM radio. You can't swear on that, but
yeah, for sure.
If you have the uncut version, that would be great.
Let's see what we got right here. This is from the New York Post.
To apologize to the First Lady for your statements that you made about her possible connection to Jeffrey Epstein.
That. That's not gonna happen.
Hunter Biden crassly brushed off First Lady Melania Trump's threat to sue him for $1 billion if he doesn't retract what she is calling false and defamatory comments, linking her to late pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. The former first son made the comment with a smirk on his face during an interview on the YouTube show Channel 5 with Andrew Callahan on Thursday. Hunter Biden.
So here's the thing, right? If he gets into a $1 billion lawsuit with Melania Trump, not his dad or Ukraine or China can get him out of this one.
You know what? Does he even have any money left? Did they take most of his money for legal fees and stuff like that? He's pretty much broke, right?
Hasn't he been selling his paintings for like $1 million or something?
Not anymore. Ain't nobody paying $1 million for those piece of crap paintings anymore. They were only buying that to get close to his dad. He was truly the epitome of the description of a Nepo baby, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, he truly got his advantage. He sold that art because he was Biden's son while Biden was president, and the people that were buying that art were shady people from pretty much Ukraine, China, even some from Russia, even though they'll deny it for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And the fact that she's suing him is a good look, though, because remember the like conservatives that criticized Trump after Elon said he was on the Epstein list. They said, well, why isn't Trump suing him for defamation?
Right.
And some people are like, oh, maybe because he can't win the lawsuit and he's on the list. But now you have Melania coming out and saying, go to court for $1 billion or apologize. So
Yeah, that's true. That is true. It is a good
a
look.
lot of money, though. Oh, that's a lot of money for a lawsuit. So that's a big, and inflation's high these days because that's a big number. And I understand Trump's a billionaire, but $1 billion, like Hunter better apologize or he's a millionaire. You're going to be a millionaire if you're the president's son, especially in the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And so, he can hire a lawyer, he can go to court, but if he's confident that, I'm not apologizing because I know, well, I hope he knows because it's $1 billion. He'll be in debt to her for the rest of his life.
And Ukraine can't get him out of this.
Guys, yeah. No, they're not. I mean, I don't even think they would try to get him out of it. I think they'd leave him hanging now. I mean, does he even have any friends left in Ukraine and Russia after all that debacle? I mean,
I highly doubt it.
After everything what happened with Burisma, man, I would drop that dude like a bad habit. I mean,
he only got what he got because of his father.
Oh yeah, absolutely, dude. I mean, that's why he got endless supplies of whatever he was debaucherous BS he was doing. It's because of who he was.
Yeah, what's up, everybody in the chat? How are we all doing tonight? If you guys could, please make sure to hit that like for us. It really helps out a lot.
Biden had appeared in an interview on the same show.
Yeah, also do not forget to hit that subscription if you're new here.
Just 1 week prior, on August 5th, where he first made the controversial claim.
I mean, Epstein introduced Melania to Trump. The connections are like so wide and deep.
The next day, the First Lady's team revealed that it put the scandal-scarred former first son on notice for his statements, as seen in a legal notice obtained by Fox News Digital. Failure to comply will leave Mrs. Trump with no choice but to pursue any and all legal rights and remedies available to her to recover the overwhelming financial and reputational harm that you have caused her to suffer, the First Lady's attorney, Alejandro Brito, wrote. Hunter Biden went on to defend his past comments in the newly released interview, saying the information came from claims made by Donald Trump biographer Michael Wolff, which he cited later in the initial interview.
According to his biographer, is that Jeffrey Epstein introduced Melania. That's how Melania and the
okay, so now he's saying according to somebody. At first he was saying it like he knew 1,000% sure. Now he's saying according to. Okay, I get it. I get it.
That was going to cost him $1 billion.
Yep. And he died. Unfortunately, he doubled down on it, so he kind of dug his own grave with that one.
Pretty much. Well, no one ever credited Hunter Biden for intelligence. That's definitely it's just not something.
Hey, you know what? That's a lie. That's a lie, Double D. Hold on, that's a lie, Double D. That is a lie.
Is it?
Yeah, he's the smartest man that Joe Biden's ever met.
Oh yeah, that's you. You got me. You got me. I stand corrected. According to Jerry B, his son is the smartest guy he ever met.
Ever.
Lady and the president met?
Really? Epstein made the intro.
Yeah. According to Michael Wolff.
However, Melania's team seemingly foresaw such a defense, writing in the legal notice that he unjustifiably relied on Mr. Wolff's false, defamatory, disparaging, and inflammatory statements about Mrs. Trump, and maliciously elected to republish them. Her team has also issued similar threats to other key figures. Last month, for example, the Daily Beast retracted an article that peddled similar claims after getting threatened by the First Lady's team. Brito notified Hunter Biden that he would have until August 7th
What's up,
at
buddy?
5 p.m. Eastern to
We
immediately...
got Will Star in the building. What's up, dude?
Who's in the building?
My buddy Will Star.
Hey, Will, how you doing, man? Welcome to the Brick Road Show tonight, buddy.
immediately issue an apology for the false, defamatory, disparaging, misleading, and inflammatory statements about Mrs. Trump, or they would file suit against him for $1 billion in damages.
Rightfully
Despite
so.
his bravado, Biden could find...
If you're doubling down on something based on something that someone told you as an assumption, then you deserve to be sued for a fucking $1 billion. I'm sorry. You deserve it.
I don't know. he's stubborn, man. I don't get it. Just
Yeah.
say I'm sorry.
Just be like,
Plus,
hey,
he's asking him. I don't get that dude, man. He'll do every debaucherous thing on the planet gleefully without any hesitation. But the moment he's asked to do something that makes him accountable or seem like a real man, because he's not. You know what? I just answered my own question.
he's a
Hunter
Democrat.
Biden's not a real man.
He's a Democrat.
He's a Democrat, and he's not a real man. He's a coward.
Well,
And
he's
he'll
the
always be a
ultimate.
coward.
He's like the icon of the modern day Democrat, like rich kid, college degree, completely useless. I knew people like that I graduated high school with who just their parents were too rich and they had so much money, so they would just do drugs and travel all the time. That's what he was doing, you know. We have laptop video evidence, so I don't have to worry about him suing me for saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to know what's
Yeah.
crazy? You want to know something crazy? I put up a short of him. I put up a short, the short of him weighing up the, the rocks and everything, and I got a copyright strike on my channel saying that I was trying to solicit drugs. I was like, what? Like, no, this is the president's son doing this.
Yeah, people got banned. I got banned for the whole 2020. Like on October 9th, 2016, I was banned because I posted pictures of from his laptop.
It's wild.
And then I got banned from Twitter for, it was either vaccine misinformation or something about January 6th, which I wasn't there for, so I don't know why I would be banned. But yeah, that was wild how they were trying to protect him and say it was just Russian misinformation.
Right.
Yeah, which was all.
Anytime someone blames,
Yeah, that's like their Uno card.
Russia.
Yeah, that's their Uno card.
Sometimes Iran, like Lindsey Graham was talking about, oh no, Israel, like yesterday or the day before. Oh no, we need to go back to Iran. We didn't finish the job. It's like dude,
what? Leave it alone.
Like, come on, let's like they can't be doing anything. We just bombed their nuclear facilities. So stop spending money. I know what he's trying to do.
Right, he's trying
wants
to
another
industrial
war, proxy war, so they can make their insider trading deals with
we want our money.
And
Yeah, what is it with Lindsey Graham, man? That dude just loves throwing people's sons and daughters in other foreign lands. And he's been doing that my entire life, by the way.
He's a warmonger.
I can remember.
I always said you shouldn't be allowed to be in the government unless you have kids, because if you're in charge of the military, you need to have some empathy. So Kamala Harris doesn't have any biological kids. Lindsey Graham doesn't have any kids. AOC doesn't have any kids. So you don't understand. Like, so they're more likely to sign, yeah, sure, give me $600 billion. Let's make a deal.
Right.
Who cares if a couple people get killed in the process? But if you have kids, you're going to, the bodies come back, you're the president, you have to meet with the parents, you're going to learn to have some empathy for that. Like Dick Cheney was there's still psychopaths who have kids, but Dick Cheney was crazy, and I think that's why George Bush lives in like a tiny, modest house, and if you send him mail, he'll send you an autograph.
Who, George Bush?
Almost like George W. Bush, yeah. If you just send like a letter to his house, like, hey, how you doing?
He's just happy somebody likes him.
That's kind of cool. I mean,
Dick Cheney was the psychopath, and I learned that. Everyone, obviously, Bush was the president, but
Bush was just a dummy. Yeah, he was just a dummy.
He was a no, baby. His grandpa was in the CIA, and his dad was president, so he was like groomed into his position. He was like a real, true deep state president, like from a royal family, elitist family.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, his father was in the CIA for 25 years. And
yeah.
He spent 25 years running the CIA, didn't he? Before he started running for president. Did he first run? When did he first run? That was in what, 1976? George H.W.
So he
I just remember he was VP for Reagan and then got into office after Reagan and kind of fucked up a lot of Reagan stuff.
Yeah, because Reagan was what, 82 to 86?
80 to 88.
80, yeah. So, yeah, his second term was 82, 86, or whatever.
Well, I mean, technically it would be 81 to 89. But yeah. But basically. And then, President Reagan at the convention did that, go out and win one for the Gipper George. And, well, George H.W. won by a landslide in that election, too. So that was not a close election. The 92 election, where Bill Clinton won it, that was a very close election. And truth be told, if Ross Perot wasn't in it, George H.W. would have been a two-termer.
Do you guys remember when George Bush was speaking overseas and that guy threw his shoes at him?
That was great.
Well, I was dying.
Videos I remember on like in MySpace that went viral before
Yeah.
Facebook was a thing.
MySpace.
Yeah,
Wow.
that
You
was,
see shit like that every day.
that was some funny shit, but he took it in stride, though.
Yeah, he did.
Really did.
He
He
did.
took it in stride. He handled that shit. He was just like, you missed. like whatever.
His original campaign, he was like a comedian. He would just he did the like funny Texas guy, like, oh, I'm just the cool dad from Texas. He
Yeah.
was young, he was 40. So you had 8 years of the Democrats. The same thing happened with Bill Clinton. You had 12 years of Republicans. So like we had 12 years of Obama. We had, 8 years of Obama. So people got tired of it, especially after the 2020 election fiasco. So they couldn't lie and defend or blame Trump for everything anymore because he wasn't president, and then Trump wins in the land. It's the
Yeah.
pendulum.
Yeah, yeah. It is. It is like we're in like a constant time swing.
In a way, Jim.
So go ahead.
In a way, Jimmy, we could even say that Obama had 16 years because there was 4 years of deep state holding down Trump's first term up. That was all manipulated. Yeah. I mean, we know that for a fact that the Russia hoax was manipulated first by Barack Obama.
Hey, and we were still. You know what's crazy? Trump's first term, all that was going on, and he was still able to thrive.
Yeah, yeah. Well, under the circumstances, he definitely did better than any man I could think of ever in that situation. I don't think either Reagan or either one of the Bushes could have handled that.
Presidential runs are like title runs now.
Yeah, pretty much. He's the heavyweight, bro. He's the heavyweight. Trumpomania is real and alive.
Yep. Hey, and his first,
I want to church either. Trumpomania is the real deal.
His first term was almost flawless. Was damn near flawless.
We had the best economy this country had seen in 70 years. The best economy in my lifetime, I'll tell you that.
The only thing
everything he did were things that people said, oh, the president can't do that. Like Obama can't just swipe a pen and get this stuff done. And Trump went in and
no, they said you can't. What do you want? Obama said, "What do you want me to do? Wave a magic wand?"
Yeah. But that's what I mean. The Democrats were like, "Oh no, it's like that's just the way it is."
Trump went in and said, "Give me the wand."
For the next 3 years.
You know what I've learned about the Democratic Party? They have found a way to make complacency a career.
Yeah,
it's true.
Anywhere else in the planet, you would not fail upward. But in the Democratic Party, you can be the most obnoxious, audacious, ostentatious, every word you can think of that ends with IOUS and still fail upwards. And I don't get that.
They're like the WNBA.
They're literally the worst qualified person in the world. And what do they say? I think you should be my vice president pick. And then worse than that, when they were like, when their actual president was proving to be all of those IOUS things that I said, they went and made her the candidate for presidency. I mean, and then who do they pick to run as her running mate? I never thought you could possibly find somebody worse than Kamala Harris, but they managed to find it in Tampon Timmy Waltz.
Yeah.
You want to talk about failing upward? I mean, that guy's a freaking clown from day one. I mean, he literally, if you open up a dictionary and look for idiots and clowns and bobo dolls, he's going to be your picture of them. You know what I mean? But in the Democratic Party, you get to fail upward.
It's true.
I'm glad that in the Republican Party, we hold people accountable. And we hold your character even more accountable.
They're almost like the WNBA. You know, it's like constantly a negative. They're constantly in the negative. But
it's the WNBA.
Yeah.
They're forcing things that just aren't organically things people want to gravitate to.
Yeah.
And then they call you racist when you don't gravitate towards it. or what fascist or whatever the ist they come up with.
Yeah.
The IST words. That's
I
right.
like
You
this.
become
It's
one
not
of them.
working anymore. It worked in 2009. It worked when like the popular culture's like hipsters and people being vegan and shit, because that for some reason took off. But then, you know, they're not cool anymore. They're not. Bush was president. It was Trump, and there's a new Republican Party. So we don't have to live in this country where I get punished for working and I have to pay high taxes
Right.
and all this shit for wars and for other people and not for myself. Or, you know, and that's just why everyone's leaning red. Because you can't get away with that for so long, especially now with social media. It's not like we're all sitting at home watching the news on 3 different channels or cable, all being fed the same propaganda like we were forever. So you can't go, oh, yeah, of course they are, and that's why they're all going out of business, literally, because no one's watching it. You know, it's just some people.
And that brings us to Howard Stern. I mean, nobody's watching and nobody's listening anymore either. I mean, the man went from 20 million subscribers to 120,000.
That's wild, man. That is so wild to me. Like I used to love Howard Stern.
But he went from being a comedian to being an indoctrination nation guy.
It's one of them things like where like, you know, sometimes when you're a celebrity, it's probably better to just keep your political affiliations to yourself.
They seem to be the most successful bands. I'll tell you what, the bands that don't talk politics sell the most tickets.
Think about it.
Exactly.
Think about it like this, right? Say you're a celebrity and you lean more so on the progressive side, right? The Democratic side.
Which is highly mostly which is 80%.
Which is a majority of them. You're being looked at now differently by us. You know what I'm saying? Like we're kind of like, I don't know if I want to watch his movies or watch her movies or, you know, which I'm not for cancel culture, but for me, if like, you know, the way that Hollywood weird is now is it's becoming like it's not meant for us. You know what I mean? Like it's meant for other people. But then say you're a conservative in Hollywood, Hollyweird, then you're getting shunned on most of the time. You know what I mean? Will said Gavin Newsom has lost his mind. Did you see the BS he was spewing today about Trump? What did Gavin Newsom say about Trump today?
I don't. That is a good question. Can we pull that up? Can we find out?
Did you hear about
He said, "I'll promise you, Trump runs a 3rd term because he sent me a hat in the mail," which makes Trump look like the ultimate troll because Trump sent Gavin Newsom a Trump 2028 hat in the mail.
I love
so he
it.
owned himself. It was a cell phone.
All right.
Does Gavin ever wear it? That would be great.
Let's
Jerry
see.
B was ever wearing the 24 hat.
Yeah.
They sell them at the White House in the gift shop too.
Dude, my uncle got my grandma to go on a boat with him, and she wore his Trump hat, and she's a Democrat.
That's great.
It's hilarious.
All right, moving over to the West Coast, California Governor Gavin Newsom says today is Liberation Day, vowing to redraw California's congressional map to fight back against President Trump and the GOP push to redistrict Texas. Newsom also...
Okay, but here's the thing, right? If you're going to do this, do it fair like how they're doing it. Because a majority of Texas is red. Like I was telling my little cousin, I said, listen, dude, by the way the map is and the way that people vote in Texas, there should be 8 or 9 Republican seats to only 1 Democrat seat in Texas.
I agree. And the same should be here in Ohio.
But here's the thing. If you're going to do it right, California is at least 40% red. At least.
I think the actual
suburbs are red, and then the cities are blue. But the cities are so populated.
Well, no, there's a lot of sticks out there too that are red. Oh, I know.
No, I know.
That's what I'm saying, though, Will. That's the whole point, though, Will. We're not asking. We know the Democrats aren't going to be fair. But what I'm saying is, if they're going to do it, then do it right. But we know they're not going to do it right. They're going to do it to their advantage. That's why it's like we just need to say fuck it and just start doing it in all the red states.
Absolutely.
Gerrymander every red state. Get these
Absolutely.
fucking Democrats out of here.
Take our advantages while they exist. We need to start doing that. The Democrats have been doing this all along since the 1920s. They have always, actually, they've been doing it since 1779, honestly, or 1789.
Yeah.
They have been, using their advantages at every point. And every time the opposition tries to use their advantages when they're in power, the Democrats always pull the same emotional. This whole making people feel guilty about not being them has been going on for almost 2.5 centuries. This is not new. This is a playbook they have been using since day one.
Yep.
And they're trying to use it now. But here's what I got to say about California. Go ahead and gerrymander your state. Were you going to gerrymander more Democratic districts into more Democratic districts? Because I think, like you said, they're like 40% red. They're still outnumbered by 10%. So technically, even if they gerrymander their districts, they're still going to have a bunch of Democrats no matter what, based on numbers alone. So, like, what is Gavin Newsom's point? That's what I want to know. What is his point? Because he's going to redistrict California even more than it already is. Is that the point? Because that's all he can really do, right? I mean, it's already a Democratic state.
Yeah.
Look at New York. It's 36% voting. The voting constituency in the state of New York is only 36% red. Think about that. 36% red. You going to gerrymander New York? It sounds to me like it's already gerrymandered.
Yeah.
They've been doing this for years. They've been doing this all along for decades and centuries. It's about time we take advantage. Texas has the advantage. Florida has that advantage. Ohio has that advantage. Tennessee has that advantage.
Yeah.
Mississippi, North Carolina, Georgia is kind of turning red, even though it is predominantly a black state. It is like 60% black, but a lot of blacks in Georgia are going red.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they are.
Because they believe in common sense, man. They believe in family, common sense, faith, and God. I mean, California has been guiding this country's culture for way too long.
Yeah.
That's all you know what I think of Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
I'm not going to use the F word, but he knows what I think of him.
Yeah.
I put in a parody for him. It says it right there.
Will says they have already squeezed basically all their seats they can get. Now the Republicans are playing the game too, and Dems know that they are done if the Republicans do it. Hence, they're freaking hell out. Yeah, that's exactly why Jasmine Crockett decided to flee to Chicago and all the other Democrats from Texas because they know what's coming for them.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully it's a pair of handcuffs. What do you think, Jim?
I just think our country's headed to the point where we're so divided that we're just going to have complete red states and blue states, and people are just going to live amongst themselves. I think that's a good thing for Republicans because we're the popular side right now. So I would like to see Ohio go Florida red because Florida still has crime, but they have their economy set so you don't have like Cleveland's or Columbus's or Cincinnati's. You still have low income areas, but there's just they took away people's ability to just free ride, and the crime is so low. Cleveland, believe this. So Washington D.C. is in the news now because they're one of the most dangerous capitals in the world. But do you know that D.C. is not in the top 30 for dangerous cities? The top 3 are, and I saved this because I knew I'd get to it. Memphis, Tennessee is number 1 for every 100,000 people per capita homicide rates. Guess what's number 2?
Cleveland.
Detroit.
Nope.
Gary, Indiana.
Nope.
I said Cleveland. It's not Cleveland.
Cleveland, Ohio.
I said Cleveland the first time.
No, I didn't hear you because you guys are both
Detroit.
I was responding to the Detroit, but yeah, Cleveland, which is because, and then that's the last calendar year. So people were criticizing J.D. Vance. The Democrats were like, well, why doesn't Jim Jordan and J.D. Vance fix their state? And I'm like, yeah, send in the National Guard to fucking Cleveland and get people to stop stealing people's cars and shooting each other. I'm totally for that. Yes, I agree with you.
Get these catalytic converters.
and stop flipping pizzas on our street.
Yeah.
No, seriously, that was a stolen car. Dude, that was 3 13-year-old kids. They stole
That's
a kid and
unbelievable.
flipped it on our street, man, a week
That was
ago.
wild.
13 years old is too young, man. That's like, there's a serious issue with just the culture when you're 13 committing grand theft auto.
Yeah.
I mean, at least like have a driver's license and like,
Yeah, I mean, so at least he can drive it without.
the characters in
wasn't their first rodeo.
Oh, of course. That's what I'm saying. The culture, man. They're groomed into that, and I'm sure their parents did the same thing, or their parent, or whatever. Because that's just how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's how Chicago, which has gotten a little bit better. It's also a giant city. People underestimate how big Chicago is. If like you've never been there, downtown Chicago's huge.
It's very big.
Very, very
Yeah,
big.
Detroit and Cleveland kind of remind me.
It's definitely a lot bigger than Manhattan. You know, Manhattan goes up, but it's only 7 miles long. You know what I mean? You could walk Manhattan in a day. So I've done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done it too.
You can't do that in Chicago.
Manhattan's so crazy because
Take you 2 days.
one block's in Manhattan, one block's super dangerous, and then the next block is like billionaires and apartments. It's the nicest fucking place in the world. So like that's why New York is such a like pisses me off when I go there because it used to be, it's always been crazy. It's New York City. There's tons of people there. With tons of people, you're just gonna have more shit happening.
Whatever you can.
Like Manhattan's really, really nice in some parts. It's like just do that to the whole freaking place.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I get it. It's run by corrupt Democrats and they want the rich and the super poor. So
They were kind of close to that, you know, before the COVID. They were, I mean, under Giuliani and Bloomberg. And I'm not a big fan of Bloomberg's Democratic policies. I know he used to be a Rhino-style Republican, but he switched to Democrats because he really aligned with them more politically and ideologically. However, the one thing he was good about was keeping law and order.
yeah.
That was no joke for Bloomberg because he understands that prosperity comes through peace and law and you know law and order.
Yeah.
It takes peace, law, and order, and you will have plenty of prosperity.
Definitely.
When people can make money, they're happier. That's for sure.
That's definitely true. Bird, Google Gavin Newsom Election Rigging Response Act.
What's it called?
Hold on.
The Election Rigging Response Act.
Yeah.
So ERA,
Election.
like error.
Gavin Newsom
Holy
Election Rigging. Right? Rigging Response Act.
So ERA. Too bad there wasn't an O and an R in there somewhere because then it would be even more accurate. Error.
All right, so right here, let's check this out, and then we'll get back to the other one.
No, this is just what we were talking about. New congressional map in Florida.
Oh,
Or,
okay,
sorry,
okay.
California.
We can.
That's all it was.
Is that
What was the video?
yeah. We were just watching that one. Well, I know what you're talking about.
What's Will talking about? Which
That's
one is
what
he
he's talking about.
about?
Like basically trying to rig it to where, okay, if you guys are going to gerrymander, we're going to gerrymander our state and do it a little bit better than you, so we one up you a little bit. You know what I mean? Stuff like
They
that.
probably will gerrymander it better because the Democrats have been gerrymandering for 249 years. They got that shit down to a science.
Plus, they're going to cheat to do it. So,
And they have and since they have no conscience and they have no shame.
I want to hear what
Cheating is
Newsom
no
said,
big
though.
deal.
I want to hear. All right,
Yeah, I want to hear what Newsom said too.
where?
Good old Gavin Newsom.
America, Trump.
Wake up, America. Wake up. You will not have a country if he rigs this election. You will have a president who will be running for a third term. Mark my word.
This is coming from the guy who allows people to shit anywhere on his streets. The homeless have took over his cities. Like, this guy, he doesn't know what he's talking
Exaggerating
about.
when I said that I received in the mail a Trump 2028 hat. One of his biggest supporters. These guys are not screwing around. The rules do not apply to him. The most corrupt president in history. Doesn't believe in free enterprise, crony capitalism. He's wrecking this country, wrecking the economy. He's a lawless president. Wake up,
crony
America.
capitalism,
Wake
and he
up to
just
what's
promoted the
going
COVID
on.
vaccine. That's hilarious.
This guy literally ruined
Gavin, dude, really, Gavin, really?
His-
Does he really believe that?
his
I don't
po-
believe he believes that.
his
I don't believe he believes
policies
it.
are ruining. What is this guy talking? His policies are ruining one of the greatest states in our country.
But dude, I know people who live, they're rich kids, obviously. They live in LA and they go like, oh, people are lying, it's safe. Like, people do that with Cleveland sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
so Democrats can get duped into voting for him for president. So it's so important that for Trump and especially for Vance, that they continue to be transparent and do what they want to do. That's why, you know, people met with JD Vance and said, if that Epstein list doesn't come out in the next 4 years, you're not going to be the nominee in the Republican Party. It'll be somebody else. And JD Vance said, I agree. So things like that scare me. I know that's a small issue, and most people won't vote over something that, you know, most people just aren't aware of and has completely covered up and it's classified.
It's 2 hours, Will.
But they can still use it, and liberals will use it, and they're very emotional voters. I mean, look at the last campaign they ran on joy and celebrities. And
Yeah.
they still got, like, we lost the popular vote, but they still got, like, what, 46 million votes, 60 million votes, or 50? Sorry, I just jumped.
61 million, I
That's
think.
a lot. That's a lot where if people get burnt out and don't go out and vote for JD Vance,
Yeah.
then they will have the whole country will be California.
That's-
And you have to remember, these people sent in National Guards, these governors in the blue states sent in the National Guard during COVID to keep people in their homes. Tim Walz.
Yes, they did.
So-
Tampon Timmy, yep.
So when you're like, he's a fascist because
So-
he's occupying the cities with the military, it's like, well, you guys already did that. And two, they're helping the local police who are overwhelmed with the crime. They're not telling people to stay in their houses. So it's just so hypocritical. Every 4 years, they blame you for doing what they just did. Like January 6th, they created a summer of rioting. And January 6th said rioting's the worst thing, and it's worse than 9/11. And
Well-
so it's just the game isn't working anymore.
It was the greatest attack on America since Pearl Harbor. Like, really? I didn't see any J6ers flying their planes into any buildings.
Yeah, I know.
Here's the
How crazy was that?
Here's the crazy thing.
J6ers and planes, they all came in buses.
Look at all this.
Yeah.
Look at the wording. Look at the wording that the liberal media uses for Newsom gerrymandering in California. Mind you, they acted like this was the worst thing ever in Texas. Acted like the world was going to end. Even decided to flee the state because of it. Oh, Newsom trolls Trump by mimicking all caps posts. Trump major why is he trolling him? Why are you guys not saying this is terrible?
They're copying our playbook we used in 2016.
But why-
So
why-
what they're doing is they're trying to say, oh, look at us. Oh, like we're doing that with Biden. Like Trump
Right.
slams Biden for falling up the stairs. The difference was Biden actually fell up the stairs, and it was funny. So it was funny for
But no,
us.
no,
It
but
was
here-
organically funny.
but here's my
When you
point.
go, oh, yeah, Newsom trolls Trump. It's like, no, you just are agreeing with what he's saying because you blindly hate Trump, and you're trying to like
That's it.
dunk on Republicans, and you're just not doing it because you're not cool and you're not funny because you're so woke and lame and just dorky.
Right.
But go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
No, it just doesn't make sense to me how, like, they're allowed to, like, just say things like this. Like, oh, Newsom trolls Trump. Like, why don't you keep the same exact energy? This is why you lose your credibility. Because you could say... Because people will say, oh, Trump supporters will still support Trump even if he goes out and shoots somebody in the face. No, you people will still support your people if it's on the other side. Because... obviously, he's doing something that you guys acted like was one of the worst things in the world, and you're acting like it's a troll.
You know what I don't understand is how the Democrats can believe that saving our country and doing things to save America is hurting the economy. And it's actually been helping. Have they even looked at the stock market lately? Have they looked at the crypto market?
That's why they're historically lowest in popularity ever. in modern history, because when Biden was president, the economy sucked, and they went, "Oh, the economy's great. It's Trump's fault because of COVID." Trump gets back in, and it takes like 2 years. Like, it took Trump until 2019, where the economy was like, it was like 2% interest rate on a house, $1.80 in gas if you're in rural anywhere. And then they were saying it was bad then, or no, they were saying it was because of Obama. Oh, we had 8 years of Obama, and Trump is using it to make him look good. And then we had Biden, and it went back to Obama's policies on steroids, and everything got shitty. Not in 2021 right away, but in 2022 and in 2023 and in 2024. And then they were starting wars. And then their own base, half of their own base, turned on them because they didn't support the war. And they just started saying Biden's physically fit. Then Trump gets shot, and they say, "Oh no, he's not physically fit," because they knew they couldn't pull that anymore. And they went, "Kamala Harris is brave, and she's a great leader. She is the reason San Francisco is so dangerous, because she was the prosecutor. She illegally arrested people." A true liberal would be against a corrupt cop who didn't win a primary being installed as the president. But they're so gone because of the propaganda and their hatred for one guy.
Yeah. And hatred for us. They hate us too. They hate the supporters.
Yeah. You know what's crazy?
They hate the converts. Anybody who used to be a Democrat or used to vote Democrat.
So that's how they expose themselves. When you say Trump's Hitler, it's like, okay, I've heard you say that. When you say RFK Jr. is a fascist, it's like, dude, RFK Jr. is still far left on a lot of things that I don't agree with.
Yeah, absolutely.
To say Joe Rogan is a fascist right wing, it's like, dude, he has a mixed stepdaughter, so he's not racist, because a racist wouldn't adopt, a person of color. Like a true white supremacist would think that's blasphemy. He's pro-choice. He smokes weed all the time. He's not right wing. You guys just aren't cool anymore, and you canceled him during COVID and tried to get his podcast censored and shut down, and ended up making him the most famous guy in the world. So yeah, he's going to support us because we accepted him. We didn't go, fuck you, fuck you. I remember Trump's first term. I was like, Joe Rogan's an idiot for not having Trump on, and I helped him. But Joe Rogan just didn't want to get involved. And then at the last second, he had to get involved. And that was planned by the campaign team. I knew that was coming. It was perfect. It was Trump, Vance, and Elon right after the other on Rogan. And we won the popular vote. And I give Musk and Rogan the credit for winning us the popular vote.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I got to give some of that credit to Barron, too.
Barron, Barron, don't understand which ones. Yeah, Barron was working with Alex Bruchewitz and all these people on the campaign, because he's a kid, dude. He's in college. He likes Kill Tony. He likes Joe Rogan. He likes the Nelk Boys, who are in some issues right now because they made a podcast, and Steiny, we won't get into it, but he's into that culture. Theo Vaughn, he went on Theo Vaughn because Barron likes Theo Vaughn.
Right.
Theo Vaughn is funny. He's a comedy podcast. I don't necessarily go to Theo Vaughn for political advice. No, those guys really.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I appreciate, he speaks his mind, and he's not like a woke loser like like a Stephen Colbert or something. But I'm also not going to just go like, oh, everything Theo Vaughn says I agree with, like so many liberals do with these celebrities.
I don't even question them. I don't even understand that. Like, I
just don't understand. Like, they're not living like you. They're being paid. They're probably getting paid tons of money, especially today, to influence you. Like, look how forced Taylor Swift is on the public. Like, when I was in high school, she came out with a couple albums. She was a pop star, obviously, like rich parents, got her industry plant record deal when she was 13. But, like, she wasn't, like, influencing people how to live their life. Now you have these liberal women paying, like, $6,000 a ticket, and she's being force-fed into the NFL. So people's, fathers' daughters have to, like, oh, my daughter likes Taylor Swift and wants me to vote liberal. Like, all that stuff is done. I know it sounds like crazy, but that's all done.
It's done by design.
It's propaganda.
Yeah, it's done by design.
Influence you to vote.
It's definitely over. We're done. I mean, and anybody who falls for that now is just part of the cult. That's it.
Like I remember when Britney Spears.
I mean,
supported the Iraq War. That's a funny clip, by the way. Britney Spears supporting the Iraq War in 2003 because Bush was president and 9/11 happened. So they owned the narrative. That's the first propaganda I fell for as a kid. It's like you have to go into Iraq because they have weapons of mass destruction. If you question it, you're a terrorist sympathizer. And I'm like, I don't want to support the people who did 9/11. Now, years later, you look into all of that and you're like, oh, those are all bullshit proxy wars
Yeah,
that
it's
never
shit that
ended. We pulled out of Afghanistan. We didn't even win.
Yeah, it's things that we should have never honestly been involved with.
And that's why Trump did so well in 2016 with Jeb Bush. He said, your brother screwed up in Iraq and made the biggest mistake.
Yep.
And then Jeb Bush, what was his name? Low energy Jeb was no more.
Yeah. I mean, that was a calculated mistake. I mean, we didn't find any weapons of mass destruction. There were no MDs found. WMDs were not found.
That. They just wanted to have that war go on forever.
Yeah.
And even the first Gulf War is still kind of looking back at it in retrospect. There was some sketchy premise for even going into that war because the truth be told, I mean, Kuwait was part of Iraq. And then we and our CIA kind of maneuvered Kuwait into separating themselves from Baghdad and from Iraq, which here's this little community, really just a tiny little community on the edge of Babylon, essentially, which is Iraq. Is ancient Babylon, but literally on the corner of Babylon, here you have this little oil influx of kings and oil gods, and we kind of manipulated that and went after Saddam Hussein for the power and control over that. That's really all that came down to. We manipulated Kuwait into being the power they were, just so that we could bail them out of a war. And it would almost, if you look back in retrospect, it almost sounds like it was scripted.
Sherrod Brown is running for senator again? That's what Will just said?
Yes, he's running against Houston, yes. That's actually on my list. That was actually number 6 on my list.
Okay.
Yes, Sherrod Brown, I can't even say it with a straight face. The loser, Sherrod Brown, has decided that he needs to go back to the Senate because America needs him so badly. What America really needs is a political enema if they give Sherrod Brown that he's
an Ohio senator, right?
I mean, yeah. Well, yeah. So Ohio, obviously, Ohio voted for you. Yeah.
Forever.
He wants to go back to the Senate in Washington D.C. And the truth be told, he voted with Joe Biden 93% of the time.
Wow.
Biden's entire tenure, his entire Barack Obama and Joe Biden years back before, from 2008 till 16, he 93% of the time he voted with Barack and Joe Biden.
That's who J.D. Vance beat? Okay.
Yeah, J.D. Vance beat him for the position, and then of course he's
Bernie Moreno. Bernie Moreno beat Jared Brown.
Yeah, Bernie Moreno.
Bernie Moreno, yeah.
J.D. Vance was 2022. He was the southern part of Ohio.
Yeah.
But Bernie
Moreno's from Westlake. He lives near my mom, I think.
I like him.
But, yeah, I like Moreno, dude. He's a smart guy. He's he's a first-generation American-born Colombian citizen who actually wants to be an American. So I applaud that.
He's got money. He's a good businessman. He's not like, living off the system like New York City sanctuary cities.
Exactly.
He's living here and enriching the country and the economy. And protecting our values, not the values of Colombia.
Right.
And that's why he's great. That's what the Conservative Party is. Vivek Ramaswamy is, when he first ran, I was like, this guy kind of seems like, when you were younger and you'd go to like a phone store and they try to upsell you and all these fees. And then after a while, he kept the same tune and he eventually, is running for governor now. So I like that Ohio isn't necessarily even like Trumpian MAGA. It's more like just this new, young, fresh Republican Party that isn't Bush anymore.
That's true.
Like Vivek doesn't have to do anything crazy to get in the headlines like other Republicans do, and like Georgia, some in Florida, some in Texas, some in Colorado. They're just like this. They're very professional, like old school politicians, and they what they're saying is popular. That's what politics is supposed to be. You know, but with all the censorship and whatnot, I loved, the Trump era when it was just like in your face, loud,
Yeah.
fuck your political correctness.
Yep.
But now, like, Ohio's like, we're going to just chill out a little bit and just be red, and I can own a gun, and I don't have to pay property taxes or income tax like Florida. It's just, he's bringing the Florida economy, that style that worked to Ohio.
Yep.
And that'll cause liberals to flee. And I remember I had a neighbor who fled Florida because he couldn't get benefits from him anymore. And he was my neighbor back when I lived in Lakewood, and, so it works. And then you'll have liberals flee, Republicans come here because they want to open businesses, and Ohio's not like Florida, so it's so much cheaper to buy a house here. So I have families being raised here. I know Strongsville won best up and coming city in Ohio for buying a house. I didn't even know that. I just moved right close to here.
Hey, we got the patriotic truth teller. So glad to see fellow Americans standing up to the anti-American Dems. We appreciate you, brother. Thank you for stopping by.
Yes, thanks for stopping by, man. We love our patriots, for sure.
Yeah, Strongsville's a really nice city. Yeah, that was a great comment. Actually, you know what? We're going to pin that comment.
Thank you. Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. God bless America, and God bless you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Well, dude, when I went right before we went on the air, I went to Sheetz to grab some coffee and some water, and I counted 32 cops. So something either happened or, they have, like, Myles Garrett just got pulled over last week, I think.
I seen that.
It's the opposite of, like, what Cleveland and Lakewood were like after they defunded the police. Remember, I got in a car accident, and it took the cops 30 minutes to show up because there was a shift change. They didn't have anybody. Like, that's so unsafe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
It was 2021, so it was when they mandated the vaccine. So, like, 60% of the police force left. And all that BLM stuff happened. Who the hell wants to be a police officer in a liberal city where they're going to cancel you and ruin your life for doing your job?
Absolutely. And Lakewood would have done it too. Anything to get them on the news, because those people in Lakewood are starving for attention, bro. They can't help themselves.
Yeah.
That's why I can't live in that town.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
I hate driving through it at the time.
You can't even shit in that town without your neighbors knowing what color it is. I mean, it's really, they're just that nosy, man. They really are. Sorry, Lakewood, didn't mean to dish you, but I'm just pointing out an obvious that you already know.
I don't give
It used to be, though, like, it was a cool place for music and food, and you're like, it's a little liberal, but whatever. Then, like, after Obama, it became like a woke cult.
Yeah.
Yes.
Total opposite of, like, Gainesville is liberal because of the college kids. There's a couple, like, that protest that went viral only had like 10 old people in it. They don't have like rioting or big protests. It's so expensive now after COVID that everyone who lives there is Trump, unless they're in the city part, which is way smaller than like a Cleveland or even Lakewood.
Right.
But like Lakewood has so many people that all think exactly alike. And I remember in 2018, I made a politically incorrect joke, and me and my friend were talking about Trump. And I was like, how come we haven't gotten another drink? This is back when I used to go to bars. It's like, how come we haven't gotten another drink? And the guy's like, some people complained. We don't tolerate your value system here, so you have to leave. Which is fascist.
What bar was that?
I don't want to say, because it was so long ago, and I just don't care to. And
I got you.
But it's all of them. It's all of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's pretty much all of them.
Me and Tom have had a friend that lives in Lakewood and does music and stuff. And before I went to his shows, he would give me a warning, like, "Hey, don't talk about
Trump and
because
stuff.
the musicians were super woke, and they would ask you to leave the green room or whatever if you were being too offensive." That's when, like, I stopped. I couldn't do music anymore. I mean, maybe I could do Nashville. I wasn't talented enough, and I couldn't afford to live there right now. But just everyone became a self-deprecating loser, and that's why you have like the Ted Nugents and the Dave Mustaines. I guess you could say the Morgan Wallens of today, even though he's not open about it. It's more of a wink, wink. Yeah. I'm a hardcore Trump supporter. Those guys are so authentic and cool.
They are, especially Dave Mustaine.
Because they're being different. He's probably my favorite of all time. I used to have one of his guitars because he's so real.
I love Ted too, but
he's so real. And Metallica, who I loved as a kid, were just playing it safe. I think Lars might have said something anti-Trump way in the beginning in 2015, but they turned that off quickly because James is would be conservative now. But then, they're very corporately friendly. They performed with Lady Gaga at the Grammys. So like Megadeth became like the true guys, even more so late in their career because Dave didn't change his tune. He wrote an anti-Obama record in 2016. We don't need to talk about Dave Mustaine for an hour, but just being authentic is just so much farther than trying to be liked. Don't try to be liked. I mean, don't be like a total prick and asshole to people, but don't say shit you don't believe in because you want to be liked.
Right, just be authentic.
Yeah, be authentic.
Be authentic, be legitimate, and be genuine. It's
trying to be us. Sorry, I'm reading this.
Oh, and I mean, in all honesty, and authenticity and and being genuine is easier anyway. You don't have to live a web of deceit and always having to correct yourself before you say it. That's the one thing about living a lie. You have to rehearse that lie over and over and over again to perfect it. And well, the Democrats, and I got to give them credit where credit's due when it comes to lying and acting.
Hey, Grandma.
That does seem to be their forte because they've got lying down to an art.
I don't know if the car's not in the driveway. I'm in the middle of a live stream right now, though.
I mean, it is what it is.
Live stream.
Yeah.
So, what are we getting to next? What are you pulling up here, Bird? What do we
Love
see
you.
here?
I think his mic is muted. It looks.
I'm sorry. My grandmother called me.
It's okay.
No, that's cool.
Your grandmother podcast. No, just.
The Patriotic Truth Teller.
What was that?
The Patriotic Truth Teller. Green Day is the worst when it comes to bringing politics into their songs and concerts, a bunch of betas. That's very true. Actually, Green Day was like one of my favorite groups growing up, and I couldn't wait to go see them live in concert. And I finally went and seen them live, Andrew's still alive, 2017, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
Damn, that's late. That's when they were woke.
Yeah, I went and seen them in 2017, and it was at Blossom. And
that was a good show, though.
It was a great show, other than when they started talking about Trump. I was getting ready to leave, and I didn't care. I just didn't want to hear it. I just wanted to hear their music. I didn't want to hear them cry about Trump. I don't give a fuck that you're rich and you just want broke people to just stay broke for the rest of their lives, and you live on your high horse and eat steaks and snort Adderalls and do whatever you guys do. And we live like bums. No, it's not happening, buddy. I don't care.
In all defense to Billy Joe Armstrong, can I real quick? In all defense to Billy Joe Armstrong, I don't think he eats steaks. His little tiny ass.
Yeah, that's true.
He's way too skinny.
Yeah.
Way too skinny to eat steak.
That's a huge issue with the Democrats. That vegan movement. Like, they have such low testosterone. Like, we're omnivores. You're supposed to eat meat. So that whole vegan-vegetarian movement. I even have family members that went down that road. They lost, their muscle mass, and they were really liberal.
Yeah.
I noticed. And I was, confused. Like, when Trump first ran, they're, really liberal. And I'm like, oh, they're just overly emotional. There's a lack of...
overly emotional.
Too much. If you're overly emotional, man, propaganda will work really well on you, and you'll find yourself, at a pride event at some point.
Too much estrogen.
Regurgitating insanity if you don't wake up.
I'm surprised we haven't seen Howard Stern at the pride events yet. I mean, honestly, that's the one thing we haven't seen. We haven't really seen him set up shop at a pride event and start doing his show from there.
Yeah, that's true.
But he's 1 foot in. I'll tell you that for sure. Just in the fact that he cut off his own balls. I mean, that alone puts him 1 foot in. I don't know. Liberals, man. I don't know, man.
Maybe there was some estrogen in his hair pills or something. That's why he became a liberal so bad.
Who knows, man?
Because him and Trump used to be boys. Him and Trump were boys. He used to have Trump on the show all the time.
Back in the day, dude. They were tight back in the day. He always had him on the show, and it was always hilarious. Trump is great on a show, dude. He is, you can't find a better, interviewee to have on your show, man. You got to interview Trump, and
Yeah.
he's going to answer every question. It may not be the answer you're looking for,
Right,
he's
but
going
he'll
to
answer
answer
'em.
every question.
Right.
And he's going to answer them the way Donald Trump would answer them.
That's true.
And again, that takes us back to the authenticity and being genuine, man. That's where Howard Stern's no longer what he is. He's no longer genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a paid influencer at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he went from the king of all media to the queen of the basement. And that's just, it is what it is, man. There's no authenticity. And he's not even fun to listen to. He's boring. I mean, if you take out Robin Quivers and her cackle, you really have nothing to laugh at. Because she ain't very funny by herself at all.
Never has been. She never has been, though.
Yeah, I never understood why she got that job. I would always be like, maybe is she an intern or something? And then she was there forever.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not gonna lie. For the longest time, I didn't know she was black.
Well, if you didn't see her, yeah, because she doesn't really sound. She doesn't do the Ebonics ghetto thing. So that's just that. Robin's actually a very educated, smart woman.
Yeah.
She was always the one that would pull. Well, she would always be the one who would pull the facts. Howard would say something stupid and goofy and obviously untrue, but funny as could possibly be. And then she would, fact check him and correct him. And then he would have to do the little spiel where he would, have to apologize for being wrong and for being a dumbass.
Yeah.
And that shit was funny, man. It was hilarious. It worked. But today, when you got two people being serious on the set, man, you better bring a lot of coffee. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
People are going to be snoozing that one out. What are we looking at here? I can't really read it, so
you're okay.
You might have to help me out.
Just
here,
letting the video play in the background.
The people who work on Governor Newsom's marketing team, which is their marketing strategist, posted a tweet that looks like something Trump would say in his.
When Speaker Little Man Johnson is standing in the unemployment line, he can thank Donald Taco J. Trump. Trump missed a simple deadline, something he has often done with his many failed businesses. Now California will fire him with the new, more beautiful maps. Highly anticipated historic press conference with your favorite governor, Gavin Christopher Newsom. Thank you for your attention to this matter, GCN. This dude is such a fucking nerd, such a dork, such a worthless scumbag that he knows that what they do doesn't sell, so they try and mimic what we do. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, fuck Gavin Newsom. He's a candy ass little cunt anyway. Yeah, I use the CUNT word. Fuck him. That's what he is.
I can't believe it.
He's a bitch boy. He really is. I mean, throw a wig on him and put some makeup on that dude. It's time for him to come out already.
I just I don't get it.
Him and Tampon Timmy with their little thumbs and their little, all that. I mean, it was quite clear the two of them were having a romance or a bromance, I guess.
Yeah, they were doing something, all right.
And that's fine. I have no problem with that. I'm open like that. I don't care. Do your thing.
Hey, Gavin Newsom might take after his Uncle Paul.
That's right. It's just time for him to come clean. Come out, Gavin. Come out of the closet, Gavin. We know you're in there. I love fucking with that guy. I can't, he's just such a horrible governor. He just asked for it.
He's the worst. All. He might be the worst.
He really is. The Election Rigging Response Act era.
I'm not listening to that. Oh wow. Look at these.
Rallies. That is our setup for a rally right there.
What?
This the sign on the microphone stand and people standing behind you. Obviously, like speeches are like this, but it's supposed to look like a rally.
A Trump
AOC
rally.
And Bernie did a tour. It was against the oligarchy tour, and they were in arenas and they did the Trump thing.
Yeah,
that's how they know they're not popular anymore, because they're copying us.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing.
Now, to their defense, they did sell out like what, 5 or 6 of those?
1 or 2.
It's not because They were just in areas where they knew they would do it, like Minnesota and shit like that. So
I'd love to see
like Trump had rallies in New York City, the Bronx.
The
Towards
Bronx.
the end there, he was in California.
I love my Puerto Ricans in the Bronx. We love our Dominicans.
That's right. You know, I want to see the Democrats, and I want to see AOC and Bernie go to, like, I don't know, Trumbull County and set up one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
They'd have to import a bunch of New Yorkers and a bunch of Californians
Very
and a bunch
well.
of people from the inner city. They would have to drive them in buses, dude, to fill that, because truth be told, out in Trumbull, that's Trump country. I mean, it's right in the name, TRUM. It's right there. You know
Trumbull County.
We just call it Trumbull County. That's right, because that's exactly what it is. It's Trumbull County.
The patriotic truth teller says Gavin Newsom is emasculated. He knows his presidency
Yes.
chances are low against J.D. Vance in 28. Yeah, they're right now. All they're doing is pulling out their reverse Uno cards. That's it.
That's all they're doing. They're just hoping, and they're hoping to maybe something will go wrong in the next 3.5 years that allows them to slide in.
But the Democrats do like Gavin Newsom, so they will he's not popular with the Democrats.
Right.
He's definitely popular with the Democrats.
They think he's attractive. I've seen them talk about him he's attractive, he's well spoken. It's like, okay, but you can't run on that. You can't run. It's like you got to run on policy that
True.
benefits people.
That's true.
And his policy has been broken for quite a while. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if he wants to make America California, and I say don't California my Ohio. That's what I say. Don't CAMIOHIO, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You know,
We don't want
do it.
we don't want them pooping on our streets.
No, we definitely do not. You know what? If you go poop behind a tree, behind the bushes, you do your thing. You want to be homeless in Cleveland and Ohio, fine. But you got to be homeless in the trees where nobody can see you.
Yep.
I'm just being honest, man. I know that sounds harsh, but walk down Detroit Avenue between 110th and 98th and look off the side there by the tracks. You'll see the homeless camp. It's a mile long.
Oh yeah.
But you can't see it unless you walk down there.
That's true.
So,
Everybody, if you guys are new here, please make sure to hit that like for us.
And hit that subscribe, and don't forget to share this and smash those notifications, man.
Yeah. So the patriotic truth teller says the media is complicit with trying to bring down Trump's popularity. They've been doing that for the past 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, any browser news headlines are always negatively slanted against anything Trump does. That's very true. It's always been like that, though.
Absolutely correct.
Ever since he came down the escalator and announced he was running as a Republican president, that's been true.
Yeah, they have been relentlessly sticking to that and doubling down on that whole philosophy since day one.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I fell for it in 2015. I was like, oh, this guy's gonna be Hitler and all that. I mean,
a lot of people did.
I believed it for about 5 minutes. And then I was like, whoa.
I kind of liked what he did, but when he first announced, I remember being like, maybe he's doing this for a TV show to show it, because there's no way the CIA is going to allow someone like that they can't control to be president. Because when they couldn't control Kennedy, they killed him. So back then, that's when I was both sides are the same coin, and there's no reason to vote.
Right.
And then once I was going to the rallies, because I always supported him, and once they rigged it against Bernie, I never supported Bernie, but I realized he was the organically liked candidate, and they did it to him again in 2020. But they put Hillary in, and I was like, you can't have Hillary because she was in both, she's the first lady for Bill Clinton, but she was also in both the Bush and Obama administrations. We can't have those types of politicians anymore. They had their time, and they didn't do well. The report card is bad.
Yeah.
So
pretty much.
So that's when I started going to Trump rallies, because I was like, oh, well, I don't want Hillary Clinton to win or anyone from that administration. And then the media really, when Trump started to get popular, they hounded him so hard that if you were going to the rallies back then, you were seeing a completely different guy. Then you would go home and see him on TV and be like, that's not what happened at the rally. They just split what he said and cut it up. And and like took a picture of him where his face is squinted and he looks angry. They were fun. They were a blast. So I knew that he was the right guy pretty early on, which I got a lot of backlash for. I can't even compare that to 2024. People were sending me congratulations. 2016, people were telling me to jump off a bridge. It was unbelievable, like the death threats and whatnot I got in 2016 from people that I knew my whole life, and obviously strangers on Twitter.
Dude, in 2020, I had a girl that I pretty much grew up with, and I really thought of her as a pretty good friend. But she, I'm not going to give her name or anything like that. I won't do that to her. But she kind of did the same thing, similar. We were on Facebook, and she had made a comment about the rioting downtown on Memorial Day and how proud she was of those young kids who burned down the city and all those businesses. I was like, and I made a comment. I was like, well, would you be that proud if they were your actual children? Because she doesn't have any kids of her own. So it was really easy for her to be willing to let somebody else.
She's Democrat.
Right.
Oh, she's definitely a Democrat. She was willing to let other people's kids go to prison to satisfy her need to tear down the system. Well, I made a comment about that. I was like, you wouldn't have felt that way. You wouldn't be saying these are my children if they were really your real children breaking those laws and possibly going to jail. You would be extremely upset if those were your kids. But you don't have kids, so you don't know what that feels like. Then she started threatening me with killing me and sending kids over to burn my house down and all. I mean, dude, it just got like, I had to take myself off Facebook. It got that bad. That's why I only have 9 Facebook friends, and technically I only have 7.
Oh, damn.
2 of them are, well, because 2 of them are dead. So 2 of my Facebook friends aren't alive anymore. So yeah, I had to open up a whole new account, and I just opened up that account in March. It took me 5 years to think about that again. Getting threats against my home from people I grew up with, that's crazy. That's crazy. Why?
So bad, man.
Donald Trump in 2020?
Right.
Because I supported him?
I got it bad the whole time. I never let them scare me away though, and I just stuck around, and it was rough, but I knew I was on the right side of history. And during the 2024 campaign, it paid off, because then I was seeing people who never spoke about politics complaining about, like, if Kamala Harris wins, like I don't know what I'm going to do. There's going to be like a civil war, and I'm like, you're just a regular dude. You're not like some guy who has a bias and you're radicalized. You're saying that because you can see you're being lied to and you don't want to be anymore. And you already had Trump. It's not like Trump was never president. We already knew what Trump was.
Exactly.
Right. We know exactly what we're getting.
2.0,
So people won't even debate me anymore because they know, one, I work in politics, so I know more. It's in my job. I see it every day. And 2, I know what the fuck I'm talking about, and they don't. They're just regurgitating talking points. So they just curl up in a ball and go, you're a Nazi, you're a fascist, and now they don't even respond anymore. It's so quiet, especially on X. Most of the Democrats, other than the ones we make fun of, are on Blue Sky now. So that's like Truth Social, except people who use Truth Social still use Twitter. These Democrats who are going into this Blue Sky bubble, they're becoming even more unpopular and even more echo chambered and even more, because they're just seeing only people who agree with their radical left. They're not even the moderate, like Bill Maher types.
Right.
No, and they're going to get more suicidal as they go along too, because when you lock yourself into that bubble and you fill yourself with that much hate and resentment and angst, and I'm telling you, some of those Democrats are going to start throwing themselves off of buildings and stuff like that. I'm not trying to suggest to Democrats to commit suicide.
No, you're just acknowledging that way of thinking is going to make you miserable.
Yeah, they do. They really get so angry and upset about everything. And I'm telling you, their suicide rate's going to go up even higher. The more that blue thing, what was it called again? Bluescape, right? Bluescape, that's what it's called,
Blue
right?
Sky. Blue Sky.
So they're going to throw themselves into this and seclude themselves into this mind trap. I just don't see how that's healthy or how that's going to work out for them. I don't see how anything positive comes out of that.
They don't care, because anything that goes against what they think, it triggers them. So they'd rather just hear everything that's right to them.
You know, someone made a comment to me the other day that Americans have become afraid of the truth. I don't think that's true. I think Americans want the truth. I think it's the liars are afraid to let the truth come out because then we're going to know they were lying. That's what I think it is. And the media, like you were saying earlier,
Yeah.
facilitates this lie as a cover-up, really.
That's true.
I mean, what do you think? I mean,
No,
what do you
yeah.
guys think?
I agree.
Actually, you know what? Patriotic truth teller, tell me, do you think the media doesn't want the, I mean, they don't want us to know that they were lying the entire time anyway. I think
That's the problem with when they legalized propaganda in 2012, because now you have these people that it's an anxiety response. It's a fear, like, oh, I don't want to admit. Anna Paulina Luna talked about this on Joe Rogan yesterday. It's like they don't want to admit that, oh, my country would do something like this, or I've been being lied to, because they're afraid.
Right.
So they're like, no, they're all telling the truth, and anything that's against the truth is misinformation. And if you question it, you're a fascist.
Right.
Which
Which is exactly what they do.
It's like, whoa, what happened to you?
Crazy. What sounds really crazy when you hear that
So-
too. When you
or you're a fascist. Well, that's how fascism starts. Is people don't question anything.
Yeah.
right. That's exactly how it starts. Fascism happens
Real fascism, yeah. Not like, oh, I don't want violent people in the streets. Woke fascists, like real, like the nationalista socialistas, which is the Nazis. That's nationalist socialists.
Yeah.
If you didn't agree with that, they kicked you out, or they
So
incinerated you.
the patriotic truth teller says the Democratic Party is on the verge of crumbling into irrelevancy for 2 decades. I disagree with it for 2 decades. I do agree that they are crumbling into irrelevancy now, but I think it's more recently because Obama was a force for the Democratic Party. I'm not saying he's a good force, but for the Democratic Party, he was a force and he created a movement. They have to keep up the farce until the midterms. If the Dems win midterms, then the media keeps it up. The Republicans wins, the media reads the writing on the wall. I still think the media will, regardless of whether the Democrats or the Republicans win the primaries, I still think the media will bash the shit out of the Republicans.
Oh yeah, and they're always going to bash Trump. They're too in it now.
Yeah.
They're too deep in it. They're beyond the point of no return.
Yeah.
The point at which you can't really turn around because the journey forward is shorter than the journey behind you. And right now, their only whole thing is get Trump out of office. They're not going to impeach him out of office. There's only 2 ways Trump's leaving office right now. When he can't run again in 2028, and then hopefully J.D. Vance. Well, you know who I want. I want Vance and Donalds, but
Yeah.
we'll cross that bridge as we get closer to it. But you know that at that point, Donald Trump won't be able to run, or they're hoping he'll pass away while he's in office. And I guarantee you, there's Democrats out there right now wishing that.
Oh,
And
we already know that.
on Twitter.
And I don't
We
think
already know
we're
that.
saying anything- I don't think we're saying anything here that's incorrect or
Look at how
even
many-
shocking for that matter.
We know that there's Democrats out there that want that because look at how much people are celebrating Hulk Hogan dying.
I don't understand
They love
that.
it. They
I don't
love
understand.
it.
But that's just that's in. I'll
It's
tell you what.
shock value.
If something happened, let's say Barack Obama has a heart attack tomorrow morning and he passes away, and people are like sitting out there, oh, thank God he died. I'm so happy. Dude, nobody would say that. Nobody's going to say that because nobody on our side would truly believe that. Yes, we don't like him. We certainly don't love his policies, and we certainly don't want him being president or anybody like him. But for God's sakes, we would not wish death on him, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Even Tampon City is
You had these like far left streamers. I remember when Trump got shot and then a guy behind him died. That were like, good, you should die.
Oh, that was
because you went to
Destiny.
a rally that supported fascism.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
that's
holy
crazy.
shit. This is a firefighter with a family.
Yeah.
It's not some like, and then you celebrate like a criminal and
But come
burn
on,
down
let's
the
think
world
about this,
for him.
right? This is Destiny, the guy who let people rail his wife, thinking
Oh,
he was
that's who
going
it
to
was. Okay.
thinking he was going
I
to keep her
forgot.
that way, and then she left him. I disagree.
Yeah,
Those
that's hilarious. And his son's a hardcore Trump supporter, and he blocked him.
Colbert and Stern are Exhibit A and B, and it's just the beginning. But yeah, I mean, I don't think so. Well, I think that because they're all liberal media owned still, there's gonna just find people to replace those people that could be bringing a more of an audience.
South Park's really going hard on Trump. They just got like billions of dollars. It's not like they're going to stop doing that. See, like late night TV show isn't popular anymore. No one has watched that in like 20 or 30 years. It's not because Trump's canceling it. Jimmy Fallon just had Greg Gutfeld on like last week because he knows he's losing ratings. It was his highest rated show like in a long time.
In a very long time. It was one of the highest rated shows.
Yep.
Actually, I think they said it was one of his highest rated shows ever.
I wouldn't doubt it.
And I mean, one of them, not the. So I want to specify it wasn't the highest rated, like he's saying, it was one of them, but it brought Jimmy Fallon back to life, and he had to have the true king of late night. You know, Greg Gutfeld had to go on his show to really.
Can I be honest with you guys? I completely forgot that Jimmy Fallon even still had a show. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I forgot until Greg Gutfeld went on. I'm kidding. I do. I'm kidding. But,
so the patriotic truth teller says Dem supporters have been programmed to be manipulated by their feelings, hence the hate. Yeah, that's 1,000%. It's all manufactured hate. It's all manufactured hate to tap into their emotions and use their emotions against them, and they don't realize it. Which let them.
And here's the thing too. Like, there's a reason why there's more liberal females in the Democratic Party too, because they do react. And again, this is something the Democratic Party has always done. Let's go back to Jim Crow when they were, you know, when the Democratic Party and members of their party were hanging people from trees. Those were all emotional responses. None of that was based on reason or based on looking at the case or the facts.
Yeah, but
the Democrats have always had a habit of being emotionally driven, which means you're going to make a lot of bad decisions as a group when you're emotionally driven.
The patriotic truth teller says, that's my point. The writing is on the wall. Hell, even CNN now has Greg Jennings on regularly. Yeah, well, they kind of have to do that. If not, they're going to be told that they're biased. But they also only pretty much have him, and then it's him with like 10 other Democrats 90% of the time. So, you know what I mean? They're gonna sprinkle in their little ones and twos here and there just to get people like us to watch it to see what Greg Jennings has to say. But they're not going to push the propaganda towards the Republicans, even if the writing's on the wall that the Republicans are winning. They're still going to push the propaganda for the Democrats. 1,000%.
So speaking of correcting narratives, by the way, because obviously this is another Democrat narrative that's actually affecting our state personally.
Yeah.
This thing down in Cincinnati, all right? All I have been hearing now, and especially on social media, probably more on social media and on ABC and NBC, they keep calling for arresting the Russian guy.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, the Russian guy never even pressed charges. Neither one of those two men were pressing charges. The charges are actually being pressed in response to the girl Holly that got knocked the F out, you know, and then got kicked in the head after she was knocked out. That's the reason why charges were filed in the first place.
Okay.
So anyway, the claim is right now by the Democrats and the liberal media that the Russian guy called them the N-word and slapped them. Now, this video that you're pulling up right now is all of the video. There's about 40 seconds before the slap. And it clearly shows the man in the red shirt takes 3 punches, and the man in the black shirt takes 3 punches, and then a black guy in a white shirt comes in and tries to split up the two, and that's when you see the slap.
Okay.
Well, the entire time you hear them taunting him for being Russian. Not one time did the N-word come out. Never heard it once.
All right.
And I've listened to this video at least 10 times.
Let's check it out. Let me make sure the volume's all the way up. All right, we're all the way up.
Yeah.
You have to start it from the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at 49 seconds or 47
Okay,
seconds.
okay.
Yep.
But it's the
Wanna make
beginning of
sure.
the video, though. It will be the beginning of the video, though, of the actual.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, did you
There's
cut
no
it?
footage.
It's in the guy in the back shirt. Back shirt's already trying to score with him. He breaks it up right there. It's a whole slap. I think we're about to watch him. It's awesome.
Listen, that wasn't a slap. I don't care what anybody says. That wasn't a slap.
No, but basically he was struck at least 7 times
Well,
before that slap.
hold on. Patriotic Truth Teller says, if the Republicans win the midterms, the media has to change. Are you being serious right now? Do you not see that we just won the presidency and they haven't changed? They actually doubled down even worse? No, yeah, they don't care. They're willing to go out of business. We already know that.
I think what he's trying to say, though, Bert, is, yeah, if they don't change, they're done. But you know what? You've been saying this all along, Bert, that the Democrats and the liberal media have crawled up on this hill to die.
Yeah.
If Patriotic Truth Teller is correct, and if the Republicans take over, they are going to have to change their policy, or they're going to have to change their format. I agree with you, though. I don't think they will. I think they'll die on the hill.
They've been doing it. They've been dying on this hill.
It's a shame. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll. I mean, if I'm betting in Vegas, I'm going to put my money that they die on the hill, just because the last 10 years pretty much dictates that. I mean, I hope he's right. I hope he's right. I hope they turn around and, to become the fair and balanced media they used to brag about.
Never happened.
I just don't think. I think they're just too far gone. I'm not sure that they can. I'm not even sure. They might be trapped in their own trap at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I was in my car, I'd be, oh, there goes a wig. Yeah, get the National Guard in Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland.
Yeah, let us get the National Guard down there for a little bit. Change these fucking people's tune right away.
So, but as the point being, as you see right there, the Russian guy clearly did not start that fight. He was being taunted. They were just a bunch of drunken idiots acting the fool. And now and here's what they're trying to do. Now, keep in mind, they want to press charges against the white guy because he was involved in it and he slapped. But technically, he was defending himself against 3 different people.
Yeah, he had 3 dudes running around him.
He had 3 dudes in front of him. He's trying to defend himself. So what they're saying is, if they go ahead and charge this guy, then basically they're telling people in Ohio that if you defend yourself in this situation, you too will be charged. It will set a precedent. It will set a precedent that will spread like a freaking disease throughout this country.
That's very true.
If the city of Cincinnati caves on this one, and I believe they're going to cave because they want to. That's what Democrats do. Again, they're going to double down on their idiocracy. They're going to double down on it, and they're going to end up charging this guy with a misdemeanor, probably some simple assault or whatever, ruin his life for it. And for what? Because he was out at 3 o'clock in the morning and his only crime and his only thing he did wrong was being white at 3 a.m. in downtown Cincinnati. I'm sorry, Cincinnati. I'm calling you out, and I'm calling you out to the truth, too. You know it's true. Those men jumped that man. Oh, by the way, speaking of which, the girl who kicked Holly in the head after she was knocked out, They just lowered her bond from 250,000 to 25,000, and she got bonded out right away.
Yeah, we knew that that was going to happen.
So the judge lowered it, and for what? The whole inside, they're guilty as can be.
Yeah.
They want to set a precedent that if you this ain't sixth grade junior high school where 3 kids get into a fight and all 3 get detention. That's not
true.
what this is. This is 3 people who were brutally assaulted, and one of them who's probably going to have permanent damage thanks to their drunken stupidity of a bunch of idiots in downtown Cincinnati. And yes, that's what they are, a bunch of idiots. They were a bunch of freaking morons who couldn't control their alcohol and their behavior, and they acted the fool. Ask Carnival Cruises. You can watch 30 freaking videos right now of drunken assholes acting the YN, acting the ghetto. Sorry, that's what you're doing.
The YNs.
That's what you're doing. You're not, and they want America to not believe our own eyes?
Yeah.
Are you serious? Seriously.
And I had that a couple of times when in Cleveland and Lakewood, or I'd be walking home with a friend or something, like a pack of people would like robbed us or whatever. That's why I own a gun, dude. Like I don't think I didn't truly understand how dangerous our cities were until I was out of them long enough.
Yeah.
And then went back and I was like I got real irritated immediately because I'm like this is, I know what's causing that. Right. And no one's doing anything about it in this area, and I guess they like it.
Yeah, they must really do.
They're afraid to tell the truth because they don't want to be called racist.
Yep.
They don't want to be called Nazi. They don't want to be called a fascist, because telling the truth in this country has become racist, fascist, and Nazism and Stalinist, or whatever other term whatever IST term they want to use, or ISM term they want to use, or IOUS term they want to use. They can use all of them because now it's a badge of honor. Calling out the truth doesn't make me a racist. Calling out the truth makes me brutally honest, is what it does. And until the black community in this country accepts that reality and starts policing their community from within, they're not going to stop the violence, and they're not going to stop the crime. And here's the thing. The black on white crime, yeah, we're seeing a little bit more of that. But in reality, it's black on black crime 90.9% of the time. 99% of the time, they're doing this to each other. We don't hear about any of that because they don't want that truth to come out. But I'm telling you right now, if you can't fix that in your community, you cannot have a successful community.
True.
You just can't.
Very true.
Prosperity comes through peace and law and order. It isn't rocket science. It's in the damn Bible, for Christ's sakes. It's in the 10 Commandments. Read them, follow them, learn them. Practice the true faith in God that I know the black community has a lot of, by the way. They do. They believe in God. Most of them are Christian, God-fearing, working people. And then you got this handful of idiots who are ruining the communities for them all over the country because they won't admit the truth. They won't admit it, because admitting the truth means you have to accept accountability. And to accept accountability means you have to look inward at yourself. And that's a problem that Americans in general, especially those on the left, especially Democrats, have a real hard time looking at themselves. And they have a real hard time saying, they're really busy pointing.
Let's be fair. Hold on a minute. Hold on, Double D. Let's be fair, okay? When they come in with their pink hair, their nose rings, and their rainbow glasses, and their dots all over their face, I don't want to look at them either.
Fair enough. I mean, they're not the most attractive people, that's for sure. But while they're busy pointing their finger at everybody else, they're forgetting they're pointing their thumb back at themselves.
Yeah. The Patriotic Truth Teller says, people didn't act like this in the 80s. The demographics of America have been greatly changed by third world demographics bringing these issues with them. And that's exactly what's wrong, and that's why we can't let that's why we can't let all these illegal immigrants come here, because they come here and they don't adapt to our society. They want to bring their society with them, the same society that they decided to flee from. It makes zero sense.
Exactly.
It has zero logic to it. And I'm just gonna say it. I think these people are fucking retarded.
and that they want to assimilate by changing us. That's
Right.
how they're going to assimilate. No, yeah, no. You're absolutely right, patriotic truth teller. You're absolutely right. They don't want to. They want to destroy America. That's what they want to do. It's simple as that.
if you can't
Simple as
stand
that.
if you can't stand the country that you're from and that you live in so much that you're willing to break the law of another country to go live over there in hopes of a better life, then why would you bring the same mindset over to that country that you broke the laws in?
Okay, now
Well, you
you know
remember
it's
when Obama became president, I remember there's white people that were identifying as like,
Right,
oh, like
mhm.
they would take a blood test and be like, oh, I'm Native American, blah, blah, I'm not white, I'm not an oppressor. Like there's this weird hatred they have of like a safe civilization. They think it's fascist.
Yeah.
And if you don't like homeless people, if you don't like people who don't like work, if you don't like, you're like you're seen as like you're pompous and you don't
Yeah.
and it's like, no, I'm the opposite. You're pompous because you don't know. Most of these people that don't live in those areas. There's two types of Democrats. There's the inner city Democrats that vote because they have to. They depend on it. And then you have the rich college kids that have that guilt, like, oh, I'm going to live in my suburb. But the news is just lying to make people, to cause division and racism. It's like, no, actually, if you live in the city, the media's downplaying it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it pisses you off.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you do see. I mean, we're kind of secluded where we're at here because of the location of how our neighborhood is. But I can go 2 blocks either way and see the dregs of society all day long. I can sit there with my camera all day long and probably record some of the worst people that you can think of.
That's true.
And the demographics are, they're very mixed on that. There's not, you know what I mean? It's just
The
that
patriotic
hood mentality.
The patriotic truth teller
complete-
says America was 90% white in the 1940s, widely considered the greatest American generation. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. People would think that to say something like that is racist, but why is the truth racist?
It's not racist. That's the thing too. They want us to believe that the truth is racist.
We
won't say it.
That's all it is. They're insecure. They
Well,
don't want to feel bad. They don't go, oh, well, because then you're literally saying society is safer when it's majority white because there's data to prove it. And then they go, oh, no, it's
all on purpose. It's all by design.
It's just that. And but there's also like the culture is a problem.
Yeah,
with like inner city kids.
Yeah.
Like and then you had COVID, and then you have like their parents are doing the same shit.
Yep.
So it's like a generational like.
Here's the irony: is if you go back to the 1920s and the 1910s and 1920s, there were very prominent black communities in New York. Even here in Ohio, in Cleveland, they had prominent communities that were very, they had good businesses. They hired, they had people working and they were flourishing. And then, we went through the Great Depression, and you had Roosevelt obviously kind of started this whole dependency on the government thing, but it really took off in 1960s with Lyndon B. Johnson and the Great Society.
That was the problem right there.
Yeah, he basically kicked black fathers out of the home, is what he did. Their policies kicked black fathers out of the home. So you don't have this anymore. So now you have kids who don't have role models to look up to other than maybe other, men in the neighborhood who are in and out of prison or what have you. Those don't make really good role models for children. I'm not saying that people from prison can't change, because people from prison change all the time, and that's fine and dandy. But when you are setting your heroes to cause you to end up in prison by the time you're 19, you got to reevaluate the way you're looking at that. I mean, you have to reevaluate that because that life ends there. What do you come out? What, you think it's going to be different? It's like, if you're going to create a culture of debauchery, and destruction in your community, then that's what you're going to have, is the destruction of your community. Look at East Cleveland.
Yep.
Let's look at East Cleveland. For many years, it was a prominent neighborhood for what? For like all the billionaires and millionaires at the time. They didn't really have billionaires.
Yeah.
And then it was basically a Jewish and black community that was fairly, successful, and and it certainly wasn't as today. It wasn't the poorest city in the nation.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now you look at it today, and somewhere along the line, it's more than just. America facilitated this with the Great Society, and it's in white families too, and in Hispanic families, and it's even touching like even first and second generation other races that come to this country. They like even Asians. They come to this country with this great work ethic. Their parents are all about education, all about learning. You get 2 generations on, and now they're gangbangers in Los Angeles and Oakland and San Francisco. How did the Chinese immigrants who 60 years ago, the Chinese and Japanese immigrants were some of the smartest kids academically, and now they make up for about what, 5 or 6% of the penitentiary now?
Yep.
Think about that. That's a cultural thing. That is a definite cultural thing. That's an issue that we as a society have got to be honest and deal with, or this is not changing. It's as simple as that.
Unfortunately, we're not allowed to be honest and deal with it because we're white, and it's racist if we're honest about it.
Yeah. See, and I disagree with that, and I think
no,
that's
I'm not saying.
wrong.
I'm just saying that's the perception.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm disagreeing with the liberal view of how society should be run and how it should be treated. Yep. It's basically just close your eyes, shut your mouth, don't believe what you see, and don't listen to what you hear.
Yep.
It's like it's all an illusion. That's not what's happening. You don't see the truth happening. You just think you see it. I'm tired of being told what to think by the Democrats and by the liberals and by the rhinos too, because there's rhinos who are just as guilty of that. Lindsey Graham,
career politicians
who wanted. Who's the other one? The one that freezes up on the stage? Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell. I can't believe he's still alive. It's like Ozzy Osbourne.
He looks like a turtle that's trying to go into a shell.
Except Ozzy Osbourne was more comprehensive. Honestly, I can understand Ozzy better than I can understand Mitch McConnell. I don't even know what the hell comes out of that dude's mouth 90% of the time.
Mitch McConnell looks like a turtle that can't go back in his shell, like his neck's stuck.
He looks like an uncircumcised penis.
You know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
He does.
Most of these people,
and it won't go back in.
A majority of these politicians are just career scumbags. That's all.
Pretty much. And Donald Trump, flipped that culture over on him. And that's really why they hate him more than anything. Mm-hmm. Because they hate him more than anything because he flipped the script. That's what happened.
Right.
He changed the direction. He changed how politics are done today. And he's forcing politicians to be accountable. And what did they do in response to that? 34 indictments, Russia hoax. What was the Stormy Daniels, the who's that old lady from New York that got to sue him from 1971?
The crazy cat lady.
Yeah, the crazy cat lady.
Wasn't her name like Jean Carroll or something like that?
Jean Carroll.
Jean Carroll.
Yeah.
She can't even use her first name because it's probably some weird, goofy first name.
Mind you, this chick accused
would name their kids to make them sound smart.
Mind you, this chick accused Donald Trump of raping her is the same person that tweeted out, "Grape is sexy."
Yeah.
So all she did was she literally sued Donald Trump, in her words, for being sexy.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much exactly what she did.
It's crazy. Like the New York legal system, just like she got millions of dollars for that. So it's just so crazy how it's
things like that. That's how that thing goes. And anybody saying anything otherwise, they're fucking retarded because that is literally how it goes. You get a scandal said about you, whether it's true or not, you just pay the shit. I learned that on the Facebook movie. I remember watching it, and the dude was like, he's like, I don't want to pay him. She's like, listen, she's like, in the grand scheme of things, with the amount of money that you make, she's like, this is just a speeding ticket. You know, a couple $1,000,000 to win somebody.
It's a,
You know what I'm
for
saying?
Donald Trump, that became the cost of doing business.
Right. So
It really has.
that's just a speeding ticket for him, for real.
I think $420 million is a hefty, but I get it for someone who's a billionaire, but still, it doesn't. But just because they can pay it,
Yeah.
and just because
It happens to us, we're screwed.
Yeah, we're screwed.
We're not billionaires.
exactly, we're not, well, they wouldn't come after us because we're not billionaires.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Once we become billionaires,
If you're in a bad divorce, you have a toxic, crazy ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
They could blame you for a couple $1,000 or
Yeah.
or whatever. I mean,
I'm
it's
gonna
just
be honest, all my ex-girlfriends are crazy.
Yeah.
yeah.
They're all
right.
crazy, man.
So
It goes with the territory.
let's end it with the question. I have a question.
Okay.
If you were president, what would be one thing you would do immediately?
One thing I would do immediately if
Yes.
I was president of
If
the
you
United
became
States,
president right now, what is one thing you would do immediately?
I would definitely continue the deportations.
Okay. Well, no.
That would-
Something more of a. I mean, mine goes along line with that, but it's not exactly the same. What would you do, Jimmy?
Well, it's it's a loaded question. It's a simple question that's actually loaded
Yeah.
because if I did become president, they would tell me what I can and can't do. So if I had big balls and didn't care about getting assassinated, I would stop giving money to any foreign country and every war that we don't need to be involved in.
That's true. I like
All
that
of them.
one. I think I
I
would.
like that one a lot.
Put
I-
that money into
Our country.
programs to get these people who have been screwed by the Lyndon B. Johnson era, get them back into civilized society. Instead of trying to save other civilizations, let's save our own
Yeah.
before it
Yeah, absolutely. That is a good point.
I think I would cut off all immigration to our country for a minimum of 10 years. And I'm not talking about just illegals.
least.
I'm not talking about just illegals. I'm talking about all immigration, period. I would cut it off for 10 years till we can clean our country up. We should not be taking in
So-
any more people.
I absolutely agree with that. You know what, Bird? Now that I think about it, is so obviously the deportation thing is something I would continue, but you know what I would actually stop though if I was president today? I would make education indoctrination illegal.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely, especially left-wing communist indoctrination.
Yeah.
I would make that illegal right away. If a school or a district is practicing anti-American indoctrination, I would hold them accountable for that.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Look at that.
I am by heart, I'm a patriot, and I believe in this country. I love my country. I believe in that Constitution, and I believe in those first 10 Bill of Rights. And I've learned from the Democratic Party, they only believe in those Bill of Rights is when it suits or benefits their agenda.
That means they
Otherwise,
don't believe
could
in
give
it
a
at all.
rat's ass about the Constitution. And they teach children to hate this country and to hate that Constitution. So my number one priority would be to end the anti-American indoctrination.
There you go. There you go, guys. 3 minds, 3 different thoughts, 3 things that we feel like would actually make this country great again. And on that note,
Absolutely.
I think we're going to end it. Final thoughts. Without God, none of this is possible. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate my family. Everybody stopping by. I would make it a law that... Okay, hold on. Patriotic Truth Teller has one. I would make it a law that the evening news has to be news and zero slant. I like that one, too. That's something that can help the country.
Fair and balanced. I'm all about that. Just, you know what? Practice what they actually preached. That would be great.
That's true. That's true.
I would love to see the media do that. I don't think they ever will, but I agree with the philosophy, though,
Okay.
for sure.
So, Double D, final thoughts?
Final thoughts, as always, man. I love my country, and that's never going to change. And I want to see people held accountable for their actions once and for all. I'm tired of this 2-tier justice system that we have. that suggests that if you're on the right, you're a Nazi, you're a Hitler, therefore we have whatever right to deprive you of whatever rights and liberties you have simply because you don't agree. So I want to see that come to an end.
Okay.
I'd love to see the Democratic Party pull their heads out of their asses, but I know better. That's never going to happen. So with that, I'd like to thank you and Jimmy for doing the show with us, and I'd like to thank Patriot Truth Teller and Will, as always. Love you, brother. And the rest of our audience, thank you for hanging out with us tonight, especially if you made it the entire show.
There you go.
And most importantly, I would like to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And with that, as always, good night, y'all.
Yep. Jimmy, final
Jimmy?
thoughts.
Yeah, next time we do this, I'm not drinking an espresso 300 milligram Black Rifle coffee.
Yeah, he's wired.
I was crashing towards the end. In the beginning, I was great, and then towards the end, I was crashing, and I'm like, oh my god,
I need another one.
God bless America. God bless America. And the next step, because we got Trump elected, is keeping that fire going and not allowing the Republican Party to be recaptured by career politicians again, which could happen very easily.
Yes,
it would happen real easy, and it's up to us as voters to make sure that don't.
1000%. All right, everybody. On that note, I think we're going to end it. Have a great one.